Hello and welcome everybody, I am Brandon. We got a buttload of Cyberpunk 2077 news to talk about today. That's right, we finally got the 1.5 next gen update for Cyberpunk 2077. Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah, I know, pretty crazy, it finally happened. So now that Cyberpunk is officially launching, let's go ahead and go through all those updates and features they'll be adding to the next gen version of the game on another episode of Game Corner. Thanks for joining me, everybody. If you like what I do, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and I'll stop wasting your time. So I woke up at the crack of dawn this morning so I could watch the CD Project RED live stream where they were supposedly going to show off the new Cyberpunk update that was coming to next-gen consoles. I actually downloaded Cyberpunk again last night, hoping that the patch or something would drop a little bit early and I'd be able to kind of get in on the news a little bit earlier than everybody else. Unfortunately, they did wait till the very end of the stream to actually launch the game and release it, so I wasn't actually able to get the next-gen update until after the stream, which I want to say was around 8 a.m. PST, give or take. And it's actually a completely different app entirely on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. You actually have to undownload your old version and re-download the new version of the game. Like I said, I downloaded Cyberpunk 2077 last night thinking, oh, it'll just be an update. I'll be able to get the update, as soon as they drop it, and I'll be able to, hop in there and kind of start messing around with the new PS5 features of the game. Even though I wasn't able to get that update early, though, I was able to play a little bit of Cyberpunk this morning before the live stream and then a little bit after, so I was able to get a really good idea of kind of what it looked like before the update and kind of what it looked like after the update. And oh my god, it is a straight up world of difference. I cannot even explain to you how much better the game looks and runs. Obviously, they've done a lot of updates since the game launched, and even through those updates, I've been kind of keeping up with the game and kind of hopping in every once in a while to see, oh, how is this looking? How is this playing? And I have to admit, I've been a pretty big fan of this game, even though it's gone through some troubles since its release. That being said, if you've been curious at all to jump into this game and you've kind of been waiting for the new updates to come around, I mean, this is the time to jump in. It really is an underrated game at this point. I feel like a lot of people trashed it and shit on it and didn't really give it its proper chance when it came out. For good reason, don't get me wrong. The game was an absolute nightmare when it released, and I would definitely not recommend anyone to play it in that state. And before the 1.5 update, I still was pretty wary about telling people to go pick the game up, even though it was only 10 or 20 bucks, just because of how broken it was. And well, it looks like they fixed a lot of those problems. I was actually able to play it this morning, like I mentioned earlier, and it is a world of difference. So kicking it off, obviously the big things is that we got the PS5 and the Xbox Series X versions of Cyberpunk 2077. Like I mentioned earlier, these are completely separate apps from the main game, so you're gonna actually have to uninstall the old version of the game you have and then go get the new one. Over on PlayStation, I actually had to go upgrade to the PS5 version and then download it. It was only like 65 gigs, give or take, so it actually wasn't too bad. It only took me, I don't know, 20 minutes, give or take. And even though it was a smaller download, there is a fuckload of new updates and features that they have added to the game since launch. So obviously the big thing over on PS5 and Xbox Series X is that they've added a ray tracing and performance mode, both of which are actually running at dynamic 4K scaling, which is pretty cool. And of course, unfortunately, with the ray trace lighting, you're going to be getting that lower frame rate, and with the non-ray trace lighting, you're going to be getting that higher frame rate. I was hopping between both the performance and the fidelity mode pretty often throughout my gameplay this morning. Normally, I'm one of those people that will always go for performance mode. I usually want high frame rate over resolution any day of the week. And admittedly, I probably will sort of still creep over to that side most of the time, I have to admit. That being said, this game is absolutely dripping with ray trace lighting. And even if you don't notice it at first, once you start kind of walking around Night City and maybe even hit like a good bazaar or something like that, you're immediately going to notice the buzz and glow of all of the lights around you. It is genuinely impressive looking, and there was a lot of times that I felt really bummed out that I couldn't get the best of both worlds here. And obviously the power of the PlayStation 5 is a conversation for another time, but man, I would kill to have full-blown ray tracing at 60 FPS with 4K upscaling. Ooh. In conclusion, the game is really, really good looking, and I mean, this is how it should have came out in the first place. So along with the fidelity and performance modes added to the next gen consoles, we also have achievement support for the new next-gen versions of the game and the old versions, obviously. Tons of performance tweaks, HDR balancing, and even a Spanish voiceover. Over on the PS5, you're also going to be seeing some 3D audio and DualSense features. I want to add that I really liked the DualSense features that were added. I'm a pretty big advocate of the DualSense controller, and with those little tweaks that they added to the game, it just adds an extra level of immersion. There's also a free 5-hour trial that you can get on the PS5 or Xbox Series X version. They're clearly trying to push this game really hard and get you to go out and buy a copy of the game again. It really does feel like they're kind of doing a relaunch of the game. And of course, you can purchase Cyberpunk 2077 over on the PlayStation Store, finally, and over on the Xbox Series X. I honestly would highly recommend going and getting a pre-owned copy of the game. You can get them for like 20 bucks at GameStop right now. And it's pretty much the same price anywhere else you'd go, Amazon, Walmart, Target, etc. So beyond the next-gen updates, we also got the 1.5 update of the game, which adds a slew of free DLC and just changes and just all sorts of really cool stuff to go through. So obviously they added new weapons and armor. You can expect that from, you know, some downloadable content. They also added stuff like apartment customization and even 4 other apartments that you can buy, adding a little Grand Theft Auto 5 flavor there, I see. They finally let you change V's appearance in your apartment. You can do it at any time. It's totally free, and they actually added new hair and color options, so definitely go check that out. And they even went as far to completely overhaul multiple mechanics in the game. Everything from driving to the skill trees in the map are just completely and utterly changed. All of these are completely and utterly changed from the ground up and kind of just updated in a way to either help with accessibility or with discoverability. It all really comes together to make a really nice package. On top of that, you got combat AI changes, you got crowd changes from reactions to better police interactions, you got traffic, gameplay balances, and they're even adding AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution. Basically, the option allows your hardware to use AI to kind of upscale your content without having to use as much resources. That's a really basic description of the whole thing, but it's some really neat technology that we're kind of seeing up and coming, and I like to see more and more games utilizing it. Other notable games that use it is like Death Stranding, for instance. And really, that just scratches the surface of all the changes they've made. There really are so many, I could not cover them without this video going on for 20 or 30 minutes. So, as always, I'll put the patch notes down below in the description, so feel free to check those out if you'd like to. And while this is all very exciting, let's not forget that this is actually CD Projekt RED trying to fix a mistake that they've made in the past. When this game came out, it was abysmal, and even though I've been a pretty big advocate for it since it dropped, it's always been something that's been really hard for me to recommend to other people because it either runs like shit or it's just honestly a completely unfinished video game. This truly is the Cyberpunk 2077 we should have gotten in the first place. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, what would have happened if they would have just gotten some more time or been more honest about where they were at with the game in the first place. Unfortunately, you know, hindsight is 2020, and at the time the investors, you know, needed to make their investment back, and they sure did make a buttload off this game. So if nothing else, I'm really glad that they at least came through, finished the game, and finally gave us our next gen update with all of our serious fixes here. Especially stuff like completely overhauling the driving mechanics is huge. And like I said, that really just scratches the surface of all the changes they've made here. It's really going to take some time for us to kind of all dig through all this stuff and see really how this has affected the game on a bigger scale. Either way, I can only imagine this is going to end up being really good for CD Projekt RED because just about everybody on my Twitter this morning was talking about how they're either downloading the game again or they're going out to buy it after work today. So I'm actually kind of excited that we're done with all this Cyberpunk 2077 drama. We can finally kind of move on past this and have a completed game. Hopefully people end up enjoying it. And what I'm really excited about is kind of what's going to come next from CD Projekt RED. Anyway, if you're interested at all, I definitely recommend going and picking out Cyberpunk 2077. Even though it definitely has some issues, I think now that they've updated the game and fixed a lot of these problems, and it is absolutely dripping in ray traced neon lighting. I mean, it's a must play. It's a must pick up, and you can do it for really cheap now. So, you know, hit up Amazon, hit up Walmart, hit up Target, 20 bucks, and you got yourself hundreds of hours of content. Anyway, that's about all the Cyberpunk next gen update news I got for you guys today. We were talking about the Cyberpunk 1.5 update that they shadow dropped this morning. I'm Brandon. Thanks for watching, and have a kick-ass week.